Alright, let's talk about something big. Today, let's point out glaring contradictions in the Sunni story of Yajuj and Majuj. Not student loans, not climate change, an apocalyptic puzzle. This is one of Islam's wildest end-of-days stories. Yajuj and Majuj. Gog and Magog, the final bosses of humanity in many Sunni accounts. A chaotic force sealed behind a wall, waiting to burst forth. The Quran mentions them. The Hadith add dramatic, specific details. But beyond the spectacle, there's a theological paradox that deserves scrutiny. Let's unpack it. The Quranic account in Surah Al-Kahf gives the origin, Dhul Qarnayn, a distant people and a barrier. Dhul Qarnayn, some identify him with Alexander the Great, builds a barrier to protect a community. A wall of iron and molten copper is constructed to seal Yajuj and Majuj away until God's appointed time. Hadith literature adds vivid, humanizing, and alarming details about them. They are described as human, from the lineage of Adam, not monsters, but people. A hole appears in their wall, a signal their release is approaching. When freed, they surge out, overwhelming the world, drinking lakes, shooting arrows at the sky. The Hadith say they will wreak near-universal chaos before being stopped. So far, physical people, physical wall, apocalyptic consequences. Now the Hadith that really complicates things, from Sahih al-Bukhari. Listen to the way the Prophet reportedly described the day of resurrection. I will recite the translation used in many Sunni sources. Narration, translation Sahih al-Bukhari. Allah will say on the day of resurrection, O Adam. Adam will reply, Labaik wa Sadaik. Then a voice will cry out, take from your offspring a mission for the hell fire. Out of every 1,000. Take out 999. The companions were shocked. They asked, who among us will be the one in 1,000? The Prophet replied, of you Muslims there will be one. From Yajuj and Majuj there will be 999. Key takeaway, the overwhelming majority destined for hell, 999 of every 1,000, are described as coming from Yajuj and Majuj. That raises immediate questions. Where are they? How can such huge numbers be hidden? And why would an entire people be, seemingly, pre-condemned? Pause and process that number. 999 out of every 1,000 people are from Gog and Magog. This implies near total demographic domination. For every person you know, there are 999 hidden others. Your family, friends, the barista, multiplied hundreds of times over somewhere unseen. We live in an era of satellites, Google Earth, seismic networks, and deep-sea subs. We have mapped almost everything. We've explored highest peaks, deepest oceans, remote jungles. Yet the Hadith imply a population vastly larger than recorded history hidden from all this. Literal reading requires a geological and logistical stretch too far. A population that large would need an ecosystem, water, food, breathable air, detectable by satellite and climate records, heat signatures, seismic activity, ecological footprint. We would expect signs, but we find none. So literal geography and demographics create a major contradiction with empirical reality. Set aside the where for a moment. Consider the why. The Hadith imply massive, almost categorical condemnation. 999 out of every 1,000, born into a group that seems destined for hell. In mainstream theology, humans are born with fitra, a natural inclination toward good. We are tested, given messengers, judged individually. The Quran plainly says, and we would never punish a people until we have sent a messenger to them, 17:15. Yet Gog and Magog, sealed without contact, appear to be judged without that messenger test. That clashes with Quranic guarantees of justice and the idea that no bearer of burdens bears another's burden. Where is mercy for the child born into those tribes? Are they born inherently evil? Islam emphasizes individual accountability and God's boundless mercy, so the Hadith raise a stark paradox. This is not a minor inconsistency. It challenges core theological commitments. God is repeatedly described as Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, most gracious, most merciful. Mercy is depicted as vast and encompassing, not partial. So how do we reconcile an all-merciful creator with whole peoples seemingly sealed off from guidance? It's like locking a student in a closet for the semester, then failing them for not taking the exam. No signal, no inbox, no message. God's Wi-Fi permanently down for this group. This provokes what I call the mercy paradox. Boundless mercy versus apparent pre-condemnation. The human instinct is to ask, where is mercy for that child? Scholars have proposed a range of responses, literal, allegorical, or contextual readings. We owe ourselves honest, reasoned engagement with these texts. Quick summary: geographical contradiction, legal contradiction, no messenger, theological contradiction, mercy versus pre-condemnation. Do we toss out sacred texts? Of course not. But we can reconsider how we read them. Options: literalist reading, allegorical metaphor, or contextual and genre-aware interpretations. Perhaps Yajuj and Majuj symbolize untamed chaos in human nature, not a hidden global census. Maybe the wall is law, faith, civilization, structures that restrain chaos. The Quran repeatedly commands reflection. Faith that shuts down reason is fragile. Engaging difficult questions is not betrayal, it's an act of devotion to truth. If the hadith are right, we must explain them coherently. If our reading breaks other core teachings, we must read differently. Think, read, question. I'll be back with sources and a deeper dive. Subscribe if you want that.